Welcome back for the final game of the day, a massive showdown between Group A Titans, Fongvu, Buffalo, and Fenerbahce. I'm Daniel Dragos, joined by Isaac Azael Cummings-Bentley for a one-hit wonder tiebreaker cast coming at the end of the day.
Are we going to go platinum?
I feel like we can. I feel like we can
do it. Well, we made it through the night, so grab a cup of coffee, strap in. It's a battle of the best here, and Fongvu Buffalo did have the better game time. They had the best cumulative win time, so they did actually get side selection. They selected blue side, and a win here is going to put them up against Team Liquid in the knockout stage. A loss would mean the end of their run, and I honestly have to say I'm a little bit surprised that they did go blue side here, because so much of these battles have been about the top lane, especially when you do look at Fenerbahce, when you look at Ruin. This player has been so dominant, has been really a focus for their squad and enabling him in that side lane. So I did think that Fongvu Buffalo may have wanted red side for the top lane counter pick.
I was under the same impression. I thought for sure that they would do everything that they could to set Zeros up for success, but it looks like they're valuing what could be a early priority pick, something conventionally very powerful versus a, comfortable matchup on the top side of the map. And honestly, after the performance from Ruin earlier in the day, that's part of what makes it so surprising to me, because Ruin was an absolute monster and Zeros in rare form, and not in a good way, in the sense that he was very much struggling for the first time, it feels like, in this tournament.
Yeah, I think he definitely turned in his worst game in their previous matchup earlier today. On that Aurelia, was not looking too good. Did have a strong early lane, but I do believe ended up 2-10, 3-10, somewhere around there. Was having a lot of trouble throughout that game, and a lot of it is going to come down to not just these two incredible top laners, but also the jungles that they are paired up with. Maybe it is about getting some more jungle priority, trying to take away something from Kirei, perhaps, who has also been such a key contributor for their team. And he does have, a pretty kind of interesting champion pool, something that is a little bit different from a lot of the other players in this tournament. It's about, very much the Kindred, the Karthus, and the Taliyah for him. He has brought out Elise when pushed to that so far, but, maybe on that blue side, they feel they can ban one or two of those away, pick another, and try to kind of push him off of comfort a little bit.
And of course, they've had a lot of time to prepare for this match. All four matches that came from Group B gave them a decent amount of time to prep, to, refocus, to look at the match ahead of them. They can look back at the tapes in their first game, see what went right, and I feel like we are going to see some adjustments coming from PVB, but I don't know how much is going to come in on the opposite side, because for Fenerbahce, it feels like they finally figured out how to get every part of the map working for them, and bot lane is definitely a piece of that, because Hades, when he has this Draven, does really feel unlocked.
Yeah, he certainly does. I think his two best games by far did come on the Draven, so I'm expecting to see that hit the ban table if it is not going to be taken away by Fongvu. And certainly, he has looked really, really good on that. He was very dominant on the pick. I do think it helps them with some of their laning phase issues that they have had outside of the pick. It is very lane dominant. He seems to be very comfortable on it, going forward into the mid and late game as well. And his team fighting, I think, has been good on this champion. So it will be interesting to see where the team is going to be pulled. There becomes more and more things that you have to think about. Are you concerned about the Draven from Hades? Are you concerned about Ruin and his kind of champions, because he is often who the team plays through? Are you going to focus on Kirei and his smaller, well, he can play other champions, but his kind of focused three champions in his champion pool?
And that's a really good question. Do you take the gamble, and do you try to take away all three champions? Do you limit your bans at the top lane, instead try to shut Kirei down, and then do we see the fourth champion in Kirei's pool? And is that even an effective strategy, or is there just a fourth champion that Kirei is comfortable playing, that he can bust out, that he can play at the same level as, something like the Kindred or the Taliyah?
Yeah, I mean, he certainly can go deeper than three. We did see Elise already in the tournament. That was in a loss, but he was effective, I think, in the early stages. Certainly, pairing up well with his mid laner that game to actually, get some early kills. That being said, I do think that you can't probably fully zero him out, but you could maybe get a preferential matchup. We have seen people be fairly effective with the Gragas, with the Lee Sin, into the Kindred. So if you do want to try to ban out something like the Karthus, push him then maybe to that Kindred and try to answer that with some of those types of picks, that certainly is an option. And anytime you are looking at blue side, you're expecting Fongvu Buffalo to try to make the most of some of these flex picks, right? That is one of the most powerful parts about being blue side, is trying to essentially dodge the counter picks by just going straight to these flex picks. Things like the Aurelia, things like the Jace, like the Akali, can all be very, very strong, utilized as flex picks.
And it's interesting as well, because we see on the opposite side that flex picks haven't necessarily been the biggest name in the game. on the opposite team, almost everything that you consider a flex pick very frequently goes into the hands of Ruin, and Bolulu hasn't had the widest champion pool in this tournament. Of course, 3 different champions. The Renekton coming out was very surprising, but honestly, it seems like the Nautilus game was his strongest. Of course, a win on Azir, a loss on Azir, but it felt like in that Nautilus game, he really was unleashed, and so I wonder if we will see more utility mids coming out for this guy. He was, of course, a big Lissandra player. Big nerfs on this most recent patch means that he's not going to go towards it again. But the Nautilus overall feels like it has been a standout pick in the tournament thus far and has also enabled overall Fenerbahce to just kind of combat what a lot of other teams are doing.
Yeah, it certainly has. I mean, Nautilus, I do think, adds a lot of consistency. It's such a reliable engage, and people are having a lot of success on it, especially as this kind of pseudo AP mid laner. Some players are going just pure AP, Proto Belt Rush. We have seen some things, in EU Masters and some of the other regions where it has been brought out. People who are already on that patch have been playing with things like a little bit more tanky, Abyssal Mask, and things along those lines. So I do definitely think it can be pretty powerful. As far as some of the flex picks that have been shown, certainly Renekton, I think, can go top or mid. I do believe that Jason Aurelia, as well as Rise, which have all been played by Ruin, could be given down to Bolulu, but it depends if he's going to be comfortable actually playing them.
And that's my big question, right? Because what we saw was him almost exclusively used for utility in the vast majority of Fenerbahce's games across the regular season and the playoffs. Of course, he did have a massive champion pool overall, but when you look at the concentration, it was mostly Lissandra. There were, a few other champions in there as well, and I'm just curious what they're willing to do and how they want to approach this. If they're going to draft for comfort, if they're going to draft for meta power with those flex picks like the Jason Aurelia as well as the Rise. And it's going to be interesting to see because I think there's 2 schools of thought when you come into a game. You can draft for the S tier or you can draft for personal comfort. And when the pressure's on, I wonder what both of these teams are going to approach with.
Yeah, and they've had, quite a few hours to actually discuss that because we did just go through 4 Group B games. So they've had all that time to be conferring with their coach, talking with their analysts, really figuring out exactly what direction they do want to take. And we are just now waiting a delay on stage, getting some peripheral issues fixed up. As soon as the players are good to go with their mouse and keyboard, we will be heading quickly on into the game. But, we've been building towards this, right? They have been given 4 or 5 hours essentially to prep, right? They played 3rd game of the day. We're on game number 9. They are going to be having to kind of hold no punches at this point. If you have any secret strategies, it's time to bring it out. This one really is for all the marbles. And honestly, these are the 2 teams, the Turkish team as well as the Vietnamese team, that people were targeting as the 2 titans, not only just in this group, but in the entire play-in, right? So getting through this isn't just an opportunity to play against Team Liquid. It's an opportunity to have 2 chances to get into the MSI group stage. You're not only going to have that chance where if you take down TL, you're straight in, but if you do lose to them, you will face the loser of the face-off there. It's going to be between Flash Wolves and then the winner of Group B. So you're going to have that second chance. And, that is certainly very valuable, especially if people are right. And these are the 2 best teams. Then you would expect to win whoever kind of came down from that.
Yeah, we'll see if the tier list reigns supreme, but I think that kind of pressure, playing a single game to essentially get a free loss in a best of 5, not that that's the position that they want to be in, but to have that safety, to have that comfort, to have that knowledge, and especially, too, with the change in the schedule, Group A in a very comfortable position where they will get a few days to prep for TL. Now, of course, TL gets that same luxury, of course, to know exactly who they're going to be playing against, but you have to think that the players will be happy with a little bit of time to reset, to focus on what they want to do, and if you're PVB, in this position where you're playing on home soil, and you want to go further, and you want to show everyone who's watching, people who have watched you in your own season, in your own venues, that you can do more. And that's a ton of pressure to play under.
It certainly is. And I also say, for Vietnam, they have been kind of on the cusp of challenging to become one of those major region spots, right? To grab away one of those seeds from the LMS, from North America, to try to kind of overcome some of those teams. And if you're able to do that, you can grab one of those seats for yourself. And perhaps then you're in a year or 2's time, sitting in that position where you're waiting in the best of 5s already. And that is certainly what a lot of these teams are chasing, as well as the international success, and just the kind of pride that comes from having that. But we'll see if either one of these teams are able to grab it. Certainly, these 2 squads, in particular, haven't always been matching up against each other, but Vietnam and Turkey have played against each other quite a lot, over these last couple of years. And in general, it has often been Vietnam coming out on top.
Yeah, when you look at the overall record, of course, 2017, 2018, 2019 MSI, 7-3. You add in Rift Rivals, it gets a little bit closer. I believe it's 9 in favor of Vietnam, 8. But when you look at just MSI, I mean, Vietnam, whether it's EVOS, whether it's Phong Buffalo, or it's Gigabyte Marines, whoever has attended have always come out on top. So regionally, it feels like there is probably a little bit of strength in their favor. But as Turkey has been leveling up, as they've been growing, as they've been leveraging EU and Korean imports into their league, they have looked stronger and stronger over the last few years. And I have to wonder if they can go toe-to-toe here, if they can push these guys out, because it's not the luxury of a best-of-5 that they've often had in the past. It's one game, right? And that's just... You do not get to adapt. You have to put your best foot forward. You have to put everything on the table, as you mentioned. You don't get to hide anything. You have to go into your maybe best of 5, revealing what could be your strongest strategy.
Yeah, it's definitely true. But I mean, I think they have had opportunities to adapt because, while it is a best of 1 at the end of the day here, they've already played twice against each other throughout this group, right? So you are kind of looking more at like a best of 3.
Pseudo best of 3.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we saw adaptations from game 1 to game 2 from Fenerbahce. They looked much better in that second game, where they really weren't challenged in the first game. For the Phong Buffalo, they were very dominant in that first game. So now the opportunity kind of is in that Vietnamese team's hand to try to bounce back, to try to correct for some of the mistakes and some of the perhaps drafting errors that they made in game 2. And I do think that adaptation is so important in these tournaments, and also when you do have these very long days, mental toughness, I think, becomes incredibly important. How tired are the players going into this day? Have you really kind of stayed energized? Have you been focusing, throughout the day? Are you still going to be on your A game at this point? Because both those teams are under the same conditions and have to really put their best foot forward here.
But the one edge that I feel like that 1907 Fenerbahce and Turkey do have is that they've subbed out in the support position. They have a fresh player. And while you can't say that he has all the same amount of veteran experience that Japone has, he does have an abundance of energy. This man just won his first game on an international stage. That's absolutely huge. You have to assume that he is coming in fired up. And a lot of times that's all it takes on team is one guy to kind of rally the team and bring up the energy, bring up the spirits heading into kind of a high-pressure game like this.
Yeah, and that one game he won was against the Phong Buffalo, right? That was the swap that they made. So certainly, going to be feeling good about that. We do have an updated ETA, about 2-3 minutes remaining. We do believe until the players are ready. They are getting checklisted here on stage to make sure everything is working perfectly for them. I certainly don't want any issues going into this kind of final game here of Group A, but I'm going to be excited to see what sort of strategies are brought out. We've also seen, a number of games from Group B now. There seems to be definitely, I think, a different meta, it's fair to say, coming out from there. We've seen some very different picks. We've seen the Heimerdinger, we've seen the Kale, we've seen Karthus Bot. We've gotten to see a lot of different strategies that didn't show up in Group A, and it'll be interesting to see if even, they kind of pull some inspiration from some of those games and decide to try to, vary up the picks at all.
I like that you avoided the Sona Tarek. You mentioned every pick but the Sona Tarek, and I think I'm curious to see if we'll step away from traditional AD carries as well, because when we talk about both these teams, very often we're looking on the top side of the map. Both these bottom sides seem to be role players. Both the supports, especially with the recent addition of Only, both appear to be big playmakers. But bot lane isn't often where we put our attention. Yes, Hades has had some spectacular games. Yes, Big Koro has had his moments, but it doesn't feel like these guys are the defining factors on their team. But maybe that changes with some more creative bot lane picks, some more creative strategies, whether it's Sona Tarek, whether it's a Karthus bot, whether it's something as crazy as a Heimerdinger.
And even if the strategy is not actually crafted to focus on these players, they can still be the difference maker. As you said, certainly the Draven games were incredible from Hades. Big Koro and Pallet did have some very impressive team fighting in some of their games here as well. So, these guys can take over a game, certainly. I do think that the Kaisa game in particular from Pallet was very, very impressive. So, we have seen some really nice games coming out from these guys across the board. And it's going to really be kind of who just steps up, because it isn't certainly just about these top laners. It is easy to look at them, and they are certainly stars of the team, and they are the guys who a lot of people are focused on, because they have been pivotal in not only winning the games, but also in kind of how the strategies are crafted and how the teams want to play around them.
And so many of the big moments, of course, coming down to a lot of those support players, in the hands of Pallet. He's got, 3 games on the Galio. He has been a fantastic piece. Some really clever uses of the ult, patient uses, especially pairing with Big Core. That synergy is there. Only, I think, despite playing that first game there, we have to assume he spent a decent amount of time practicing with the team, because him and Hades look incredibly comfortable. And while we thought it might be a champion select mix-up, there was some rumors about maybe that Vel'Koz pick was going to go mid lane. It was another Braum game. Japone has played it every single game this tournament. Now Only's added another one to the lineup, and it feels like this is just such a comfortable draft priority for both of these teams. I do wonder if anyone's going to take that away, if the Braum will be taken away, if the Galio will be taken away from Pallet, and how that could change things up. Because while Yeah, it's really easy to look at Meliodas. It's really easy to look at Kirei. You know, when they are so active in the early game, these supports have been a huge part of the engage, a huge part of the team fighting, which has often been the mid to late game decider.
Yeah, and I think anytime you want to craft a strategy where you're playing side lanes, where you are playing kind of split push style of gameplay, which we talk about a lot with Ruin, then things like Galio, things like Tom Kench can really kind of throw a wrench in the gears of that. Those are champions that are able to collapse on side lanes so effectively and turn what could be a winning 1v1 into a heavily losing 2v1.
Yeah, and it's difficult, of course, to play against it if you're not used to it. And it feels like both these teams are at least well equipped. This is a strategy, and once again, these teams have played against each other twice, so should be comfortable heading into it. And interesting to see very often, you know, moving back a few patches, 9-6, we saw champions like the Galio taken away, but for both these teams, it feels like it's all about the solo lane priority in draft. And I'm just wondering what is deemed the new OP. We've seen a lot of Renekton today. You know, we've seen...
It's not that.
I don't think it's that. We haven't seen the most top-tier Renekton performance yet. We're waiting to see it at MSI 2019, as how I'll phrase it.
Renekton definitely has not paid off just yet. I do think that it is a powerful pick, but I think that when you play Renekton, the onus is on you to perform early on in the game, to be dominating your lane, to be creating plays and making things happen, drawing pressure up to that side of the map. And so far, at best, we've seen the Renektons kind of just farm evenly, and at worst, we've often seen them fall down pretty significantly. So we'll have to see if we do see some more convincing Renekton performances throughout. But I would say a lot of it, I think champions like Ryze are still very, very important. I do think in the support role, Galio has been absolutely massive, being able to affect not only the lanes and have incredible gank assist, but also to get out to those side lanes and be so effective in the team fights.
Yeah, the incredible gank assist is the point that always catches me off guard, and I think a lot of players off guard, where we see, you know, Galio, yes, he can burn through his entire mana pool very quickly if he's spamming abilities, but if he just uses all 3 abilities, level 3, level 4, whenever, he can just cut through almost an entire health bar and leave you very little room for counterplay if it's played well, and Pal is definitely one of those cases where it is played well, and if he's going up against something like a Draven again, I wonder how aggressive the bottom side of the map will be.
Yeah, and that's a tough question because, you know, it's not then only about the 2v2. It becomes, you know, about the 3v3. Can you win that? Do you actually want to spend your jungle time down attacking a Draven if a counter gank means you're doomed in that fight? So, you know, you have multiple options, obviously, on how to deal with the Draven. Some people will try to go for more scaling options, farm it out. Some people will try to match power for power and go for things like Lucian Braum, you know, and both kind of have their pros and their cons. You know, you are somewhat forced more into a playstyle one way or the other. If you are going to play, you know, something that is more scaling, like a Tristana or whatever, you have to play defensively. And likewise, if you're going to be that Lucian Braum, you expect to see lane dominance. You expect to see aggression and that kind of paying dividends.
And now I'm just curious to see, you know, there's so many options, and we're going to keep talking about the draft as we wait a little bit longer for issues to be resolved on stage. I always like theory crafting a draft is always so interesting to me because it feels like a team can approach a game in so many different ways. And when you have this much time to prepare, it feels like we could see big shifts, but I feel like at the end of the day, no matter what happens, we're not going to see Kirei get Karthus. I feel like his champion pool is always going to be contested. And past that, I feel like teams have learned that giving Ryze over to Ruin, that giving Ryze over to, you know, 1907 Fenerbahce, I think is a big risk, is very difficult. And now as we get into the draft, we'll actually get to see what the options are. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. The tiebreaker for Group A, reminder of the stakes. Winner will move on to face Team Liquid. It's a pseudo double elim, so even if they lose there, they will get another chance to qualify for the MSI group stage. But now as we look at the bans, Ryze taken off the board, Akali, the response from Fenerbahce.
Yeah, going through this pretty quickly. Talia, that is certainly targeted at Kirei. That is one of his big 3 picks, but no Karthus taken off the table just yet. No Kindred taken off there either. They do have the ability to leave one of those up and try to actually pick it away if they're going to be comfortable taking that themselves. Certainly have the ability to have Meliodas on one of those picks, and he also has taken the Kindred away in the past. He has quite an impressive record, you know, in his own region on that pick himself. Certainly not as many games as Kirei, but is a very strong Kindred player in his own right.
Absolutely. Interesting, though, that we see both priority picks for both respective supports taken off the board. The Galio, of course, for Powet, the Braum taken away from Only. At least Only has a lot more to show us, I feel like. I feel like this is not the same as opponent who would always go for the Braum. I want to see what the priority will be there. But, of course, Jace left up and available. Aurelia left up and available. There are so many flex picks left open. These two, it feels like you're in a situation for PVB where, yes, you're going to get one, but very likely going to have to give up the other. And Jace locked in. Looks like Fenerbahce will get the choice if they want to take the Aurelia or not.
Yeah, they certainly can go to that. Jace is going to be able to win against most matchups up in the top lane. A lot of the answers are kind of somewhat risky, things that have to be able to all in to really play very aggressively onto that Jace. You certainly could go towards something like an Aurelia, but you would expect to see that bullied in the early stages. Rumble coming through is an interesting answer. Certainly can deal with the Jace. I think at the later stages, building into an early Seekers can help to deal with some of the early lethality that may come out. But I do still think you're expecting to see Jace bully most of these matchups. You know, when you're getting in range of auto attacks, though, the Rumble Flamespitter can be actually hitting back and using the Scrap Shield to try to trade with you. Also, certainly, once you have some items, once you have some levels, the push becomes fairly strong there on Rumble, so that's something that you can contest. Post 6, we know that it's an enormously strong team fighter, and that already feels like what they are drafting for. With Nautilus alongside the Rumble, you have AoE, you have CC, and you also have easy setup for the Equalizer from the Nautilus.
And Equalizer, just an absolutely disgusting ability if you are trapped in 1.5 total AP scaling ratio, so much base damage, but it looks like there's some responses from the side of PVB.
Okay.
They have some nice solid engage, a strong bottom lane, as well as some disengage in the form of this Gragas.
Yeah, and I like the pick of the Gragas here, because if you're not going to take the Kindred, you can ban out Kindred in the next round of bans. So they're actually kind of pre-picking this, saying, all right, if you want Kindred, you must take it here or we will ban it out next. We already have the answer for you shown. Karthus is available though, so he could go to the Karthus if he decides to. It will not be the option. Sivir going to come through. Does work well alongside both Nautilus and the Rumble. The speed ups for the engage going to certainly help there. This is all screaming team fight to me. This is all screaming engage, go, go, go on the side of Fenerbahce. So we will see if there's going to be more targeting of the jungle pool here from the Fungbu Buffalo, as Kirei, did pass up his opportunity to grab Karthus. Kindred's still on the table. Are they even worried about the Karthus at all?
Have to wonder. Now we see the LeBlanc band away, though, trying to limit some of the safe blind picks that Fongbu Buffalo will be forced into. Nautilus, of course, selected most likely expected to go into the mid lane, but could still see some flexibility there, limiting some of the stronger matchups into it as well. Karthus, as predicted, Isaiah, will be the first ban on the side of Fongbu Buffalo.
And it really is interesting to me to see that the Sivir was actually picked in this position. This kind of tells me that Fenerbahce didn't actually care about the Karthus, because Sivir has not been picked or banned really that I can recall throughout this event whatsoever. So it's not like you had to pick it or it was going to be taken away. So that to me kind of says they weren't really caring too much about grabbing the Karthus regardless. So there is a kind of a chance that Fongbu Buffalo are being a little bit baited into the jungle bans. We will see what Fenerbahce does have planned. They are certainly targeting mid lane. Certainly Yasuo as well as LeBlanc can be decent answers into that Nautilus. And there is a chance that Nautilus could be flex bot, so we do have to kind of mention that, but certainly it has been played almost only mid lane thus far, and now all three...
Appreciate the bailout. I totally just forgot the Nautilus was already locked in.
Well, I mean, it can be played support.
Thank you very much. Of course, yes, most likely to go mid lane. Could be flexed elsewhere, is still very powerful overall, buffed across the patches, but with the champion pool limited,
all right,
Nocturne will be the lock-in for Kirei.
Yeah, this is such a hard engaged comp. I do think that on the side of PVB, you need to draft some disengage here. They do have Gragas, but if you're planning to have Jace split push, good luck split pushing against a Nocturne. That is one of the toughest champions in the game to actually play side lane against. Black Shield certainly would help a lot against the main form of engage there, which is going to be the Nautilus. Yes, the Nocturne can dive in, but I do think Morgana is a very intelligent pick. Also a very strong laner. Morgana, in addition to the Varus, not only sets up for easy skill shots from the Varus, but binding into the ultimate of the Varus, into the ultimate of the Morgana. There is kill potential there, especially if they wanted to go for something, like the kind of more standard melee supports.
And now we're seeing Lissandra locked in, going to go into the hands of Null, and we have big Coral. The thing that I liked, you pointed out Morgana, the Morgana Varus bot lane has been so successful for Fongbu Buffalo in the past, and I do wonder, the Corki over, we'll find out what the final pick will be here in a second, but it is very hard to survive against this lane, and we've already seen Big Koro and Pal be very successful domestically. It feels like Fenerbahce have just kind of said, okay, bot lane,
wow,
survived, you're going to back off, but this might change the narrative depending on where this Vel'Koz ends up.
Yeah, it might actually still be the Nautilus support, as I was saying. Like, it is a legit pick, especially if you're going to go down there, against some squishy members. You can look for the hard engage there. That being said, Morgana does answer your CC very, very well. So I am expecting it perhaps to be the Vel'Koz. I do think Vel'Koz can actually be a decent matchup into Morgana. You can actually poke off the Black Shield, be pretty annoying to deal with. That being said, with where they are sitting now, you are expecting that to be a mid Vel'Koz, especially since he's already on the cleanse. Null bringing out his Lissandra, that was his most played by far. He has 12 plays throughout the regular season. We have not been seeing Lissandra. Remember, it is pretty heavily nerfed. The cooldown on the Q in the early levels has been significantly increased, making it much more difficult for you to actually push in your opponent to be able to get that kind of mid lane control, which can lead to the early Scuttle Crab. So their 2v2 can be more difficult, and Vel'Koz is a strong pushing mid laner.
And I think we wanted to know what the mentality would be coming to the draft. Would it be comfort? Would it be something unique? Would it be something special? And for the side of PVB, it does feel like comfort. We've seen this Varus Morgana domestically. We've seen the Lissandra so many times, the Gragas as well, the Jace in the top lane. On the opposite side, we are definitely getting a curveball here from 1907 Fenerbahce. The Rumble, not a champion that we've seen in a while. Sivir, not something we necessarily associate with Hades, more often known for his lane dominant carries, paired with the Nautilus. Now, additionally, the Vel'Koz in the mid lane. We have two very different strategies coming in from each of these respective teams, and when the stakes are so high, we just have to see how it is going to unfold. PVB versus 1907 Fenerbahce, one spot on the line versus Team Liquid. It is all going to come down to this, ladies and gentlemen. We are getting started. We are ready. We are into the game. 9th game of the day. Time to see who will come out on top in Group A.
Yeah, going to be a very, very exciting one. You need to be careful at level 1. Certainly the Nautilus, if he wants to look for an invade, is going to be very, very powerful at finding those sort of engages. And it's kind of interesting to see actually Conqueror here from Zeros, maybe expecting, the early Seekers, Tabbies, that sort of early armor rush that a lot of Rumbles will kind of do. Very defensively building, just try to survive something like the Jace and then push forward through that. I do think it is a little bit weaker in the early levels compared to something like an Aerie if you want to go really aggressively for that lane. Rune going to be taking Comet, which is hit confirmed by your Harpoons. The E, every time you hit that, that slow will guarantee that land. So some nice little things to keep in mind there. And Bolulu also going to be going for Glacial Augment. So this is about building towards the Spooky Ghost, building towards the Super Soaker, and actually, hit confirming a lot of your skill shots.
Yeah, and then as we move later in the game, the immense teamfight power that a Sivir will inevitably bring when it's running a Nautilus, when it's running a Rumble into melee range of your entire team. I want to see how it unfolds. I want to see how this bot lane is going to do, but for Meliodas, who's very often the man on the side of Feng Bu Buffalo, who dictates the pace of the game, I'm just curious, which lane will he give attention to first? Because it seems like the options aren't quite as clear as they may have been in games past.
Yeah, it definitely can be the case. I would say you can look towards mid, even with that cleanse, I think, especially, post-6 or even pre-6. If you're actually able to claw on top of that Vel'Koz, root him in place, if he cleanses that and he gets Body Slam Flash out of it, well, you're going to go down. And likewise, there's a lot of CC post-6 to change. You can see, though, that the Vel'Koz is able to actually push in with the W spam. It's harder for Lissandra to kind of keep up than it was in the past, so we'll have to track how that is going to go. And likewise, looking down towards the bottom lane, Big Koro and Pallet, this is a matchup they should certainly be winning 2v2, but I don't think they're going to expect a level 2 Nocturne gank.
Incredibly creative pathing coming in from Kira. They've been caught out already. They're going to get locked up. Big Koro needs to run for his life, but he's not even going to try for anything. He just goes down. First blood dropping already for Fenerbahce. That's going to speed Kira into this game.
I actually absolutely love that from Kira. That's such smart pathing. He went red straight to bot. There's no way you were going to expect that sort of a path from the Nocturne. And inefficient or not, throwing a curveball like that in a best of 1, I think, is actually a brilliant move here. They don't even have it warded out. There's no way the Nocturne should be down here this early on in the game. And Kira going to be able to grab that first blood, will clear Scuttle, work his way back up towards top, and will be put behind a little bit as far as experience, but at the same time, Big Koro losing some of his farm himself, and only has to be a bit careful there, but
yeah, I mean, credit to Pallet there, sacrificing a ton of his personal resources to catch that wave, to stop most of it from hitting the tower, to buy time for Big Koro as he returns to the lane. Very risky, but will pay off, and Meliodas suddenly finds himself in a bit of a difficult position for now until Nocturne backs. He does have the individual advantage before Kira can spend that gold, so Kira still giving him that respect. And
yeah, and the experience there is really the biggest deal, right? It is a level 3 Gragas, level 2 on the Nocturne. You certainly don't want to take that fight until you have your spell shield. Then you maybe have an opportunity to actually spell shield something critical like the Body Slam and be able to fight back with that lethal tempo in a longer fight. But either way, you can see Overheal, Strap Shield. That is so difficult to actually fight back into.
Zeraso extending the trade, trying to use the Conqueror to good effect. Needs to hammer swap though if he wants to get anything else. Ruin just moving in. He's going to get the first kill in the top side of the map. Second kill of the game. First kill for Ruin. And I feel like Zeros wasn't ready for this matchup.
No, definitely not. I mean, Scrap Shield comes back up. There's a fight for the blue buff, and Meliodas will grab it, but a solo kill this early on for Ruin is absolutely huge in this matchup. You're really going to start to outpace the damage that the Jace can put out. You can see how defensive he is going as expected. It's double cloth armor. So here it is. He goes into the overheat. He's going to get the bonus on the Scrap Shield there. You know, is getting a lot of damage out. Zeros a really nice trade back, hits the Empowered Shock Blast, goes forward, but Ruin kiting it out until the shield comes back up, then flashing forward for the auto. Really nicely done there by Ruin, and Zeros perhaps not quite knowing the limits of this Rumble pick.
And I'm going to be honest, when he leapt in as Rumble was about to overheat with Empowered, I feel like that is just a big mistake. Yeah, he extended the trade, he went for the Conqueror, but it just feels like Ruin must know the ins and outs better because he just played it so well. And when we talk about the last time two times these teams met, Ruin was also a massive contributor. I'll have to hold that thought as only could be in trouble. One more auto, he's going to get taken down. It's a bloodbath on the bottom side, despite that first kill going over to Kirei. Big Koro loses his life, but just comes right back swinging into the lane. Yeah,
that was very, very well played there by Blue Buffalo's bot lane. Pallet and Big Koro teaming up to actually knock down this Nautilus, who is going to be very vulnerable. You have a giant hitbox. If you do actually get nailed by the CC, you're going to be locked down for such a long time without any tenacity, but Meliodas.
And a TP committed as well. They know Rumble doesn't have flash. He's going to swap forms to go for the Empowered Shock Blast. That's going to be one man locked up. Kirei now running for his life. Ruin in trouble, set to fall, overheats it now, trying to retreat. Gets a bit of damage down, but now will go down to null in the exchange. Meliodas pulling back. Oh, though, on the way up, he's level 6 as well. Kirei, if he can get anything, is the slow going to catch on the Zeros. He's now set to fall once again. Is going to try to leap to the minion, but it will not be enough. Kirei now going to run him down. Zeros trying desperately, but Bolulu will grab a kill back.
That was a great roam up from Bolulu. The TP advantage for Null was spent up to the top side, and this was a critical kill to actually take down Ruin. I certainly think Fenerbahce could have competed or even just straight up won into 2v2, so Null coming in was huge, but at the same time, Bolulu is actually pushed out mid lane. He has hit 6, he's on the way up, and that is why Kirei is actually staying around, trying to kind of bait them into sticking. This is just a great Q, hits it with the angle onto Zero, slows him down, doesn't even have to expend the ultimate or any summoners here on that roam, and Kirei gonna be able to make that miss.
Equalizer. Meliodas has flash out. The last take is not going to be enough. Ruin trying to find the snipe kill there, but everywhere across the map there seems to be action. Lissandra's back on the bottom side. Immediately they're going to go in the chain. CC is flawless. Pallet with a flash into the binding. Big Koro going to grab the kill. Only 35 potentially next on menu. Tries to pull him back. Pallet with the heal. Just not going to be able to escape. Good turn for Only, but still a big win for Blue Buffalo.
Yeah, big hook there from Only to at least get one back, but Null is everywhere already. 2-0-1, 7 minutes in. TP's the top lane, roams down to the bottom lane. This is fantastic stuff from him. He is behind them. They spot him now. Not sure if Spell Shield was available or not from Hades. He does flash, but unable to actually get that Spell Shield down, which I'm going to assume was on cooldown. And then Pallet going forward, steps a little bit too far. I do believe his teammates probably could have finished that one off without him. But either way, nice turn there from Only to at least trade one kill back.
And it feels like we got a few moments to kind of, you know, talk about the matchup. And now we're right into the game. There's a level 2 gank.
We're in it. This is Group A,
so
baby.
we got to check in. Isaac, we got 400 gold lead. Yes, the gold is very different spread across the map. If you are, I mean, if you are in this situation as Blue Buffalo, do you keep trying to go top? Do you try to bail the Jace out, or do you just put everything into bot lane when they already have 2 kills?
I think it's going to be all about what opportunities Null actually sees, right? Where they can track the vision, where the lanes are pushing. You know, if the Rumble is going to actually expose himself to gank, sure, you can go right back up there, but for Meliodas, you have so much gank assist down here on the bottom side. This is level 6 now on Big Koro. He has flash ultimate available. There is no flash on Meliodas, but his ultimate to follow that up is pretty much a guaranteed kill. So if they can land any CC and set this up, it's
And
Lights
CC
out.
does immediately land. Meliodas going to move in, try to take down Hades. Curious is on the way. Bolulu as well. They need to kill only immediately. They need to get out of this play if they want to come out on top. Only now going to get taken down. Double kill drops to the Dragon. Fury in the middle of everyone. Bolulu with the ult, channeling into the middle of the team. Should grab Pallet as well, but Pallet's still alive, taking down Burning. Meliodas will grab another kill. A triple for the Gragas. Now turned back. An absolute bloodbath on the bottom side.
Oh my God, this game is certainly delivering so far, and can't slow down now. Ruin up on the top side, looking to get aggressive onto Zeros. Everyone dies on the other side of the map, means they can't be up in the top side.
And Null finally gets some alone time in the mid lane, and his entire bot lane is... Neither mid laner wants to play in the mid lane. Azeo, that's what we're learning. Everyone wants to go somewhere else, and for Bolulu, gonna grab a plate, gonna grab a lot more gold. 3-0-1 Vel'Koz was already looking solid before that play, but is now looking even stronger. But of course, also the Rune Glaive. And now we're gonna have to see if Zeros can survive this play as well. Equalizer is laid down. Zeros flashes over the wall. Null just trying to retreat, trying to pull back here. Hades on the way as well. Doesn't have the ultimate, but Meliodas. Hades may be the one who's actually caught out here. Moving forward with the body slam, chokes up on the spell shield, and now Meliodas will grab yet another kill. 4-1-1 on the Gragas. This man is getting everything.
Yeah, he really is. You hate to see that happen for Hades, though. The team calling for him to come up and help, and he strolls into his third death. That really is not going to be feeling good. Already behind, Big Koro certainly on the play. Now here is the bot lane one more time. You can see Kire and Bolulu. They were already roaming down very, very quickly on this. The CC was nailed, though, by PVB. You can see how well they're able to execute on these initial 2 kills. But then Kire in there, proccing lethal tempo, getting so much damage out here. Bolulu with the flash ultimate, nailing everything, cleans them up. Pushes it in, gets a turret plate as well. He is very, very strong at this point in the game. Already has his first item, plus the stopwatch, plus the sword boots. He's gonna be a monster, but bot lane certainly has been put behind. It's 2 more kills for Big Koro, as well as the farm advantage, and that is significant. But thankfully, Hades is on Sivir, a champion that can kind of sit back and farm and scale.
And has bought the coal as well. So it's just accepted that position on the team. He will be an alt bot. He will be a wave clear bot. He's gonna. He loves that item. He'll get it one more time. Kira gonna try to take this opportunity to secure the Rift Herald. Of course, Rumble with the pressure on the top side can help him. And you can see on your screen, Sandra and Gragas on the bottom side. So this will be uncontested.
I just love how we're seeing a Vel'Koz matching all the roams of Lysandra, right? You know, this is actually some fantastic play here from Bolulu. He's been so active on the map. It is very, very rare, I feel, to actually see this much map presence from a champion like Vel'Koz that you normally see just stationary in the lane, pushing out, but playing, you know, kind of much more of a defensive style.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, he just doesn't have the tools to escape if he ever gets caught out. But now we're going to have to ask Ruin the same question. He's just going to try to burn through immediately. Zeros taken down, no tools for him. Ruin grabs yet another kill on the top side, traded for a Drake here, but really a fantastic position now for Fenerbahce to be in.
Yeah, and they have the Rift Herald. He could actually just straight up drop this if he wants. He is going to hang on to it, it looks like, on the side of Kire. You know, Zeros does have TP, so he could come back up, but you want to see them try to get this out pre-14 minutes, certainly cashing in on the plates. We'll see where he does elect to go, but Hades and Only know they are playing weak side of the map, but they have to back off, knowing Gragas could be down here, and they are going to be punished for this.
Ooh, the ulti coming out, a good bit of chip damage, just trying to threaten Null, trying to push him back. He's not in position to stop the Herald from hitting, so it's going to be a huge chunk of gold, 2 plates for both Kire and Bolulu. And Kire just walking forward. Great use of the spell shield there. Forced to use the self-ult now, and that's going to be a lot of damage onto the tower.
Oh, but he has turret aggro.
Flashing forward, getting the ulti pallet, a madman in the middle of the team if he manages to complete this. Oh, goes golden in the midst. Meliodas in the way, and that's a big Gragas. They're going to get taken down. Kire, they both go golden. They try to buy time, but the cask explodes. 1 and now 2 as well. The shutdown dropping for Null. Really
nicely done there for Meliodas, and I believe that was actually challenging Smite. That pulled turret aggro from Kire, perhaps. You know, putting that down, that must be what it was. I didn't see a red buff on him, so we'll have to actually, you know, check that out if we do get the replay, because he pulled aggro as he was walking back through the turret away from Null. He was trying to zone and prevent the wave clear from Null so they could actually finish off the turret, but with Meliodas coming up. So let's watch this one more time. Going forward, yeah, it is going to be challenging Smite, so that's what I thought. Procs lethal tempo, pushing Null out. The initial play is great, but forgets about the burn that is going to be placed onto Lysandra. Those couple turret shots is actually what turns this. If this is a full HP Kire, they could perhaps win, but Pallet on the roam, Meliodas coming up, they are able to kill off both of them, and even Zeros making the roam down. This has been such an active game. People are everywhere. You really have to be tracking who is missing from what lanes because they can show up anywhere.
And that's what we're learning. The combined kills per minute, incredibly high for both teams, more than 1 on both sides. And of course, we have 19 kills, 13 minutes into this game, but it appears that Fongbu Buffalo are actually the ones coming out on top. They've taken that bot lane turret. They've taken a lot of plates in the mid lane as well, and now extending their gold lead to 2K alongside a Cloud Drake. Not going to have to be careful here, but he will just back off, and for the first time in a while, it feels like we have a true map reset, Azael.
Yeah, for about 10 seconds, and then we're going to have more kills, I'm assuming, but we can see Meliodas is at such a strong point in the game. He's sitting on double spell pen, you know, plus his jungle item already completed. You're basically at the point where you can one combo a squishy character, and that is so frightening, where anytime Meliodas can come out of fog and kind of one combo you. There's so much setup for that as well when you have CC from Pallet, Big Koro, Null, all there to be able to really just nail down any sort of CC and pretty much guarantee a kill from Meliodas.
And truly terrifying. Predator feels it will be a keystone, but Null actually one who's going to be fishing for a kill here in the mid lane. Knockup is going to come out, retreat from Pallet, flash back, use the ulti binding, not going to stop it. Big Koro going to grab the kill. Big equalizer, but nothing else there to lock them down. They're going to be able to back away. Ruin playing a little bit, getting some good damage down. Kire now moving in, knowing a lot of those cooldowns are missing. The flash comes out. Will the re-engage go through as well? Claw not going to get taken. And both sides just going to back away, but another small victory for the side of Fongbu Buffalo.
Yeah, Bolulu wanted to try to turn that around, and had it been a 1v1, I think he could actually get that kill, but Null has a stopwatch to delay, and when you are channeling that ultimate, you are easy pickings for the skill shots. Pallet nails the binding, the piercing arrow comes through for Big Koro to clean that up, and they nail another kill. Just so proactive. Null going very deep here. Ultimate onto Bolulu. He does not have the cleanse, but look at him as he actually backs up, returning fire very well, but even with the equalizer coming down, not enough people are actually in the area for them to really go forward on this until Kire arrives. Hades, though, pretty far back. They do not have only with them, so it is going to dissipate.
And now, it feels like Fongbu Buffalo just continuing to come out on top, but they're not able to extend their gold lead anymore. Keep fighting in the mid lane, need to break a few more of these outer towers, and while everyone else has been fighting, it feels like one of the real beneficiaries is Zeros on the top side, who for the most part has just been allowed to stay in lane and build up a small CS advantage.
Yeah, and that small CS advantage certainly is nice, but I do think even on the side of Ruin, you're going to be pretty happy that the Jace has not been dominating lane whatsoever. You know you're going to be a team fight monster, and if you can match side lane and have more effectiveness in the team fight, then hey, you know, everything's kind of coming up aces for Ruin. So we'll see, though, as PVB grouping very heavily, trying to threaten here.
Cass going to be forcing some flashes out. Kire off to the side. Will threaten with the fear.
Coming in.
Now we have the Glacial Augment. It's going to slow 2 members down. 2 members right in the midst of the Equalizer. Meliodas taking so much damage. Has the stopwatch available. Will he be forced to use it? Now just backing off. Zeros moves in and Power Shock Blast only hitting support and Ruin in that exchange. The ulti, though, now connecting on Ruin, one of the strongest members of the team, pulling back with the knockup is beautiful. Null, he's going to get time to self-ult, however. Hook manages to land on the bars. That's going to be massive, but he flashes out to safety. TP now coming in from the Sivir. She wants to join the fight. On the hunt could be massive. Is immediately going to use it. Kire now trying to run into melee lanes. The flash forward from Hades. He wants to get a kill. They do manage to shut down Null in the mid lane, but the rest of PvP on the retreat. The sidestep not going to connect. Wall is going to get hit. Kire immediately looking for the delete there. 1 kill going to get taken down. He's going to get 2. Big Koro turning it around in an instant. The Varus is just too strong.
Yeah, very strong there on the Varus, and it felt like for Fenerbahce that was actually quite an over chase. The initial kill perhaps was going to be there for them, but as they continue forward, they don't have their entire squad on the same team, and I think they have suffered, you know, at times in these team fights from people retreating as others are going forward. You know, Hades, you know, not committing the teleport immediately to that fight as everyone else is committing, and the equalizer is dropped, but only is not using his ultimate at the same time. So there's certainly some discord here, you know, only not able to be in range to actually CC someone up into that equalizer. Kire with the great spell shield, and then they decide they can actually look to push forward. But Hades this whole time is in the bot lane actually clearing the waves, so perhaps the call here is to retreat. They do make the turn though, and it is just now that we see the Sivir finally actually making that teleport. If Sivir had been there, you know, 5-10 seconds earlier, perhaps this is a very different fight. Now, as Hades is flashing forward, Kire very low, Hades very low. Only does look for the hook, but Hades is actually heading down to the rafters. He's actually looking to farm that out, so the communication's certainly not on the same page here. If you have multiple members diving forward while your Sivir is looking to farm the jungle, you're not on the same page.
And you can see it because they had so many great opportunities. They kind of caught the Lissandra. They kind of caught the bars, but they didn't do any one thing together as a 5-man. And it does feel like it's starting to fall apart. You can see how strong Big Koro was in that last team fight. Disgusting amount of damage coming in from the bars. And Sivir, of course, joined so late. The flash boomerang didn't even connect. Big Koro, though, gonna throw down the ulti. Jace, though, off to the sides. May not be the best position. Big Koro strong enough, potentially, to carry that fight on.
Null.
Rest of the team here. Null in the midst of everybody gonna try to lock
Oh,
the
spell shield
into it. Now gonna be denied. However, the fight continues anyway. Zeros on the chase. Kira has to flash out to safety. Gonna try to find the disengage from the Vel'Koz. We'll use the Spooky Ghost combined with the Glacial Augment just to make sure that there is no chase. And Hades gonna be forced to execute here. Jay's gonna look for the Empowered Shock Blast, but most likely will not have enough time. Turret gonna take him down in the end.
Now, this is just an absolute bloodbath. 24 kills in under 19 minutes, but Fengbu Buffalo certainly are the ones, it feels, dictating the pace of the game. I do like the defensive equalizer to try to keep the turret alive here. Meliodas, though, threatening on the side, and this guy is monstrously strong still at this point in the game. So a lot of respect has to be given. And here is this fight one more time. Null coming around behind Kiri. That spell shield was just sick from him. Immuning the ultimate, it does allow him to get out, but at the same time, only is knocked down. Kiri has to flash, and they're still forced to have the execute come through from Hades. So, you know, Fengbu Buffalo certainly coming ahead in these trades, and it's starting to show in the goal lead as it feels like they're the ones that are one step ahead on each play.
Now one step ahead, and now items ahead. If you look at the bottom lane, of course, the entire Ginsu's combined with the Blade of the Rune King completed. Incredible power spike for the Var. Sivir on that farm build, on that late game build with the Essence Reaver. Just a wave clear bot, and while Bolulu is strong, he's the Glacial Augment build Vel'Koz. He's got a lot of these utility options for the team, and it's going to come down a lot to what Ruin and Bolulu can do together, but it's so difficult when you've got a super fed Gragas.
And you really want to see them also just be actually combining their abilities all at the same time here, right? Like, you want to see Bolulu dropping the ultimate as the equalizer is coming through, as they're CC'd up by only on the Nautilus, who is sped up by the Sivir. It's all about this combination here from Fenerbahce, right? And we've seen individual pieces showcased very well, but we've yet to see the full combination. And I think you have to give credit over to the Fengbu Buffalo because they are pushing the pace so fast, and it's not Fenerbahce that are choosing to engage. It's often them that are trying to respond and often struggling to do so.
Yeah, very tough as well to be in that defensive position. Only now caught out. Zeros is going to look for the chase down. Will he commit anything else? Bolulu is there to try to dissuade, but the Black Shield going to stop anything else. Zeros just going to grab a kill. Yes, his lane opponent is strong, but the support definitely not strong enough to go toe-to-toe. Arrow comes out. Hades at half health. A fight hasn't even started yet. Kira going to commit the ultimate, but I don't know where he's going to go here. There's not really an isolated target outside of the Jace. Does leap into the team anyway. Immediately uses Spell Shield. Now pinned in by the Equalizer. Big Koro can't come to the fight, but Kira just barely going to dodge out there. Zero's still alive. Manages to take down Bolulu. Starting to do so much damage. The Maw of Malmorty is helping him turn as Null grabs yet another kill. Ruin running for his life. Will manage to escape in the end, but that is 3 members down. A 4th could just die here as Hades is getting chased.
And that could be the Baron. I think that is going to be the Baron. They're heading over towards it. We'll see if Fenerbahce can actually do anything about this. Hades does not have TP. He's on the bottom side of the map. These guys are low, but it's just only walking out on the map here. Support Nautilus trying to respond. Pallet may actually just die, and they do go a little bit too far. Big Koro perhaps needing to tank some of that up, but they wanted to keep the debuff off him so he could, you know, commit more damage to that. So thankfully for Fenerbahce, it is not the Baron, but it is still a ton of kills. And again, you know, not all engaging at the same time, not all really there on the same page. Their support is down. They know that Null is not here, so they look for the 4v4, but they've lost track of Zeros. And he comes over the wall, knocking down Bolulu, the strongest member. And he has that Maw online, so Ruin is not even able to actually trade back a kill as the Black Shield comes through. That is so much additional tankiness that you're having to actually work through on this Jace. And when both of your strongest members really are those magic damage dealers, it becomes so efficient.
Absolutely, and you know, Nocturne immediately goes to the backline. That's free license for Jace to try to 2v1 with all that MR, especially on the back of a great Gragas cast coming from Meliodas. And for Fengbu Buffalo, Azael, this is huge. Pressure was on for them. We said home crowd. You lose, you're out here. Your team does not get to see any more from you. Your region does not get to see any more from you. But when the pressure was on, they just kept upping the speed. Now, we can you know, chastise them a little bit. They went a little too fast. They went for that Baron. They weren't quite ready, but they are still in complete control of this game. It's a 4K gold lead at 23 minutes, and Fenerbahce, we're still waiting to see that coordination, especially as we wait for Sivir to get a few more items.
Yeah, and you know, it's just been such a good job by the Fengbu Buffalo, splitting the map, and now they're looking for Null.
Multi coming in from Kire. Null, will we see him use the self-ult? They may not have time, just barely able to get that one out. Healing up just a little bit, but the rest of the team is going to commit. Using the stopwatch as well. They want to extend this fight. Meliodas is on the way in. Lots of members grouped up. Predator is there. Will they commit? Some low health bars, but they decide to back off in the end. Fengbu Buffalo don't want to risk it all.
Yeah, he bought a lot of time, but Zeros is not there. The minion wave is actually crashing on that tier 2, so Zeros is behind them. It looks like Fenerbahce wants to start up this dragon. Zeros is in a pretty good spot to actually flank here.
Shock Blast just barely missing Hades. Now the ulti coming out. Zeros needs to run for his life. Nocturne is here. Sivir is on the way. On the hunt, though, not available. The rest of the team is split off. They're now trying to come into the fight, but Nautilus and Vel'Koz are on the backside. Redemption is here. Zeros is barely going to be able to walk in. Meliodas throwing out. Barsalt is going to go wide, however. They found themselves caught in the pinch. Good news is Ruin does not have an ultimate available. They're now trying to back off. Glacial Arc is throwing down so many members. Shut down onto the Gragas, and PVB caught out in the play.
Yeah, they're able to kind of wrangle them and push them out into this area, and now should be able to grab the dragon as a result. Null is up and on the map. We'll see if PVB want to stay around. Fenerbahce has been on the map for a very long time, and they're actually not feeling confident to take this. They will back off. I do think they could have tried to press for this, having the jungle advantage, and certainly having some very good engage to try to look to turn with both Flash and Ultimate available on Nautilus, but they will go for the safer option. Discretion being the better part of Valor, but now starting it back up, and they've kind of given a lot of time for them to get in position.
On the hunt now used from Hades, Black Shield coming out. Null been caught out in the mid lane, but the rest of the team fight is split. The binding is not going to connect. Null still the focus for the entire team. They want to shut down the CC and try to look for the turn. Only now keeping the fight going. Ruin ultimate just seconds away. Big Koro needs to run. Flash out to safety, pulling back. Knockup won't connect. Beautiful Black Shield. Only 35 though. May have overstayed his welcome. Now on the retreat. There's the equalizer to block off the rest of the team. Meliodas on the backside could be massive. Lots of low health bars. Where's the Gragas going to go? He manages to take down support. He manages to take down one more. That's 2 for the Gragas, but the Sivir grabbing one back. Vel'Koz as well. 2 for 2 there on the back half of that fight. And it looks like 3 for 2 overall.
This game is just so insane. These teams fighting back and forth, back and forth. Members who died at the beginning of the fight have respawned and are walking back out on the map to continue the fight once more. It did begin as it kind of ends here. Another pick over onto Null. They are looking for him, do take him down, but at the same time, Hades has been blasted by the Jace with a very low HP, so it's hard for their Sivir to actually enter the fight. And then this Black Shield keeping Big Koro safe, the critical member of the team. And as Meliodas arrives, Fenerbahce realizes they may be in some trouble here. Ruin flashes back to the team though, and despite the low health bars, they do make a concerted effort to turn and burst down the Gragas.
And you gotta say, the zoning equalizer from Ruin to push Big Koro back. Big Koro taking the time to go for the Honey Fruit there to try to heal up. Wasn't able to contribute. Gragas got in, yes, that's so much damage, but the follow-up wasn't there from the team, and now it's, you know, Fengbu Buffalo maybe being the overconfident ones, maybe the ones not playing completely together on the same page. And great for Fenerbahce because they've now lowered the gold difference to 2K. Sivir's getting closer and closer to 3 items, and things are actually looking pretty good.
Yeah, they certainly are. And honestly, when you're going to play this style of game, it's all down to execution, right? You know, both teams are essentially just opting into fights. There is some side lane play, but it has mostly been all about the brawling. It's about communication. It's about execution. Who can make the individual outplays in these sorts of team fights? And as you say, Sivir has been kind of bought a lot of time to farm up. Coming in on that Infinity Edge, that 3-item power spike for Sivir is huge, especially when you have gone Essence Reaver early on. You know, that is a very, very powerful and expensive 3 items to complete.
Of course, gets a bit of attack speed in the kit as well, so not going to be punished quite as hard as some of the other characters, and the power to ricochet through a team fight if PVB do try to fight in any kind of front-to-back sense. Still have Ruin, the strong foot on the side lane. Of course, Ruin with the TP available. Kire needs to step forward, but there's no vision in the pit. Ghosts are going to spot it out here for Bolulu. Slow on a lot of members of the team. 6K and dropping the Baron will be massive if they can get it. Pokes coming in. TPs are coming in. It's a small victory for PVB, but if they can disengage here, they get the teleport for free. And all needs to be careful. Will not get caught out. Just the TP used by Ruin. If PVB don't lose anything, it's a good play in the end for them.
Yeah, it certainly is. There is a TP on Null and Hades, so they do have members who can answer side lane waves. But certainly you don't want the Sivir alone in that side lane, and it will be Zeros with his teleport back before Ruin, which is kind of where that's going to swing back into their advantage. So we'll see if Fenerbahce can force a play before that. May certainly be what they're trying to look for, but I do think it was a smart start from the Fengbu Buffalo, because you start that up, you force out the teleport, and then it was a full-on disengage. They knew that they were not going to commit to that. They knew they weren't going to commit to a fight where you're going to get AoE'd down by a Vel'Koz and a Rumble around the Baron Pit.
Yeah, well played, and once again, composure after what has been a very breakneck game. So credit to them for pulling back when they needed to. But now as we check in, you can see 3 items starting to come through for a lot of characters. Big Koro not opting for a rapid fire cannon or opting to transition into crit, staying fully focused on hit, and kind of a 50-50 defensive item in the wits end. A little bit more damage output, a little bit more sustained, but also a nice bit of MR to deal with the Rumble, to deal with the Vel'Koz as well.
Yeah, and it's going to be a lot of magic damage that does actually reach the backline onto him. Certainly, you know, Nocturne could be diving back there, but having the wits end in combination with a redemption coming through, the Black Shield coming through, is going to make it very difficult for things like the Vel'Koz ultimate and the Rumble ultimate, who can have that backline access to just kind of be able to burst you down. And as you said, it's also that double lifesteal. So if you have the opportunity here as Big Koro to stand and fire with a stacked Rage Blade and lethal tempo, you can shred through this team.
Absolutely can, but now you are facing a 3-item Sivir on the opposite side. Enough time to farm, enough time to scale up. The Cole as well. Hades finally at an even point with the opposition in terms of raw item stats. And Meliodas, it is not the stopwatch, it is the Zhonya's, so not quite as embarrassing, but still definitely not a cooldown. You just, you know, lizard brain takes over. You get scared, you push the stopwatch, you're not sure what's happening. Small engage on the stream, but no one's gonna fall up there quite yet. PVB trying to use that Jace to just poke out a bit.
Yeah, it's not as bad, but it still doesn't feel good. You know, it's a matter of degrees there, and especially as the AP Gragas, you really do depend on having that Zhonya's to be able to survive, you know, not just make it a straight up one-way trip. Either way, having a great game for him and may not be punished whatsoever for that. We'll actually see if they can find any opportunity to do anything about it, but I don't think Fenerbahce even spotted it, so probably will not be impactful.
Yeah, now you can bluff for the next 15 seconds. He's got Zhonya's, guys, we can't do anything. Laugh to yourself if you're Meliodas. Little do they know, I threw it away. And the nice thing that we rarely get to see with Predator, exclusive kind of Predator Gragas as a champion, is that with, you know, Ingenious Hunter, you get cooldown reduction on it too, so it's up pretty much every fight.
Yeah, I mean, he already has it back. It's actually pretty insane how short the cooldown is there, so certainly not punished by any means. And part of the reason we're seeing Zeros group is because of this.
Yeah, fantastic. Nocturne using the ult into the side lane, the flash out to break the fear at the last second from Zeros, but needs to be careful because Ruin is coming too. Ruin, unsure, he's being baited. Zeros now needs to retreat. It will just be a pure 1v1 if they want to extend it, because the rest of the team has now started up to Baron. TP is available for the Jace. He needs to get back and heal, but then he can come to join the fight. No other resources are going to be available. Of course, Ruin's TP not there, and now moving back to the bottom side. Yeah,
and well played there by Hades, just walking forward with the Sivir ultimate, threatening the possibility of that engage, and it does make PVB back off, so they do get flash off Zeros, and that is honestly why the Jace has been forced to group so much. You may be wondering why he's not playing more in the side lanes. Well, that is going to happen. You're going to get answered by the Nocturne constantly, and in that 2v1, you will go down. He does have a lot of MR, you know, kind of with this Mon, the Mercury Treads, but that will not keep him safe against this Nocturne, who now has a GA, and that is going to be a very strong next fight that they are looking for.
Zeros now trying to find a pick onto Bolu. Bolu's going to have to flash to safety. The Equalizer is the response. Ruin, of course, level 3 Equalizer here, but not going to connect on any members more than one. Now retreating. Pala trying to turn. Big Koro going to be caught out by the Nautilus, but there's no follow-up. Predator used. Meliodas looking for a pick. The rest of the team now retreating. The support now locked up. There should be 1 kill heading over to Bongbu Buffalo. They get the pick, and Fenerbahce are forced back.
Yeah, Fenerbahce committing so much to that as well, honestly, dropping the Equalizer as well as the Vel'Koz ultimate onto a black shielded Jace, who has a lot of MR, was not really the play, I think. It's very unlikely you're going to be able to finish him off, and then when they actually caught Big Koro, they didn't have the cooldowns to actually finish him off. So if you watch this initial play, Zeros nails a nice shock blast onto Bulu. He does actually shoot the slowdown the wrong direction, which forced him to flash out. But now this is a very tanky guy. He has the black shield. You spend all your cooldowns. Imagine if you still had some of these for Big Koro right as he's caught here and the Equalizer is dropped in that pit. That would be much more effective. But without those cooldowns, they do have to retreat. It costs them flash off of both the Sivir as well as the Vel'Koz. It costs them flash on Ruin, a lot of key ultimates. So a very expensive fight for Fenerbahce that also results in PVB grabbing a Mountain Dragon and making that Baron even more approachable.
Now, the good news is that Baron not quite 100% on the table, as the Scuttle Crab has been taken, and we are late enough in the game that with max rank Equalizer, that losing that cooldown, it is back up in time for a major fight. So, Fenerbahce, well, they may not have the flashes. Those obviously terrible thing to miss in the coming fights. They will have at least their key ultimates if they can execute.
And especially when you don't have a QSS on the server or anything like that, you're depending so heavily on the spell shield to be on point. You know, there's not really any room for error if you do actually get nailed by any of this CC, and there's a lot of it. You're probably going to be in a lot of trouble. So then it becomes down to only to be able to kind of create this space for you. And in they go. I don't know, they knew they were all there.
Right, GA is going to get procced here, pretty much uncontested, but a lot of damage down to the Big Core. Big Core needs to get out safety. His GA pocked as well. Kirei, can they take him out? The lockup is there. Big Core now needs to get out. The Black Shield available. He has a lot of sustain. If he can just keep auto-attacking, no one else is there to follow. Big Core still alive. Health bar incredibly low. Zeros on the back line is going to be massive. The body slam forward, the double kill, and the ace for PVB.
They're just going to march it down mid. I think they could actually end the game, perhaps, if not just take a lot of inhibs. I think Zeros realized that he didn't need to TP top. They're actually going for the end. 30 seconds. The fastest death timer there. They have minions. This should be it.
PVB on home soil, looking to qualify for the best of 5 up against Team Liquid. They have enough time to end the game. Miscalculations would be dire, but it looks like they've got it. They will not overstep like the Baron. They know this one is their site. They have the damage on the towers, and in a moment, a career-defining moment, PVB take down Fenerbahce and will move on to the bracket stage.
Very well played there by PVB, surviving that team fight, and Fenerbahce just going too far, committing everything onto Big Koro, and it seemed like a bait from him. I don't think that Kirei knew there were so many members from the Fungu Buffalo in that bush, so when you commit forward, you spend all your resources to kill off Big Koro, who has the GA. They got absolutely devastated as the rest of the team came in, as Zeros flanked from behind. But this was a well-deserved win from the Fungu Buffalo. They were able to play with such aggression, such kind of prowess on the map, moving constantly around the map, forcing fights. Always it felt like the first ones really to make the play, the first ones to respond to aggression from the other team, and a well-deserved victory.
And honestly, after the games that we saw earlier in the day, when you saw that start, after you saw the level 2 gank, Hades getting an early, or rather Kirei getting an early kill on the bottom side, when you saw Zeros falling behind, I started to wonder, hey, are they just going to fall apart here with the pressure? But then when push came to shove, they just kept up. They defined the pace of the game. They kept finding fights. They kept finding kills. I have never in my life seen a Lissandra roam that much. It was honestly fantastic to watch.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, Null, I think, was a huge difference maker in those early levels when you have your Jace getting solo killed, when you have, the advantage kind of going the other way on the bottom side of the map, Kirei with a great level 2 gank. Then Null got out on the map, TP's top, roams bot, Meliodas was everywhere. And that was honestly a really impressive game from the Fungu Buffalo.
Absolutely the case. Well, we're soon going to hear what Meliodas has to say after making it to the knockout stage. And I'm curious myself, but first let's check out some highlights from this action-packed game. I'm curious which ones we selected, because there's a lot, video team.
There is a lot. There was more than a couple kills, certainly, and they were showing off all of the CC they had down here on the bottom side. Only did not have a fun game, died 9 times on the support Nautilus, but it wasn't just about Null on the roams. Bolulu was really good at being able to match them. You saw that the Vel'Koz was able to keep pace, but it always felt like PVB were the ones making the initial play. This dive going wrong for Kirei as the challenging smite pulling aggro on the way out. Pallet on the roam, of course. Meliodas coming up. Everyone always shows up to the fight. We saw almost no fights this game, it felt like, where the members who started it were the only members who finished it, right? There was always teammates coming in, TPs coming in. Here much later, Kirei looking for an engage, but it's Zeros on the flank, and he was so good at finding these.
And it's really hard to credit one single player as a massive standout. Pallet was incredible in the early game, incredible roams, and Zeros, despite being put down, it was 2 incredible flanks in this game that really defined it for the team. And here you see, a good fight from Fenerbahce, making the most of an exchange, but honestly, PVB just strong enough that they can go toe-to-toe, even when they might not be in an advantaged state.
Yeah, certainly the case. And honestly, they never really got it all together on the side of Fenerbahce, and this is, I believe, that final fight. So they actually had wards. They did see that there was 3 members there from the Fungu Buffalo, but thought perhaps that they could just make this play happen too quick for them to be able to respond. But the GA from Big Koro bought so much time. Jason Lissandra actually roamed from the opposite lanes, and Big Koro is still alive. Then Null comes in. Zeros flying in from the back after nailing the shock blast onto multiple members, and they got absolutely wiped. That was the end of the game right there. very, very impressive collapse from Phong Vu Buffalo, and honestly, an excellent job by the three-man squad in buying that much time.
And just look at the damage spread. 4 members of Phong Vu Buffalo committing so much in terms of the damage spread. Meliodas getting so far ahead. You know, the full AP Gragas definitely a threat to be reckoned with. And got to give a lot of credit to their team fighting, their coordination there. And while Lysandra did get nerfed, you can still see that the power of her pass is very much alive. When you start to win a team fight, you usually just continue to win it with all of those little zombies coming out and exploding on each and every member of Fenerbahce.
Yeah, you definitely do. I mean, we did see some of the drawbacks there. You know, Vel'Koz was able to get the earlier push, something that, you know, you kind of expect with some of those patch changes. But Null, this was comfort for him. And you could really see that. I mean, he played it 12 times in the regular season and playoffs and really making it work, bringing that out. It was the first showing we had of Lysandra throughout the play-in, and it's in the most critical game so far.
Yeah, and it felt like he was willing to take those gambles where he's willing to leave his lane and maybe give up a bit of CS, give up a bit of pressure in exchange for some what could have been disastrous ganks. But because he executes well, because he is able to find those kills, he's able to snowball. He's able to get that Ludens pretty fast in the game and be a big threat despite getting pushed in early, despite being in what many would consider a disadvantaged matchup.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it made a lot of sense to see them doing that. And honestly, despite the fact that people talk about PVB as kind of a slower macro team, this was reminding me of like Gigabyte Marine
like, but
style.
they're not Gigabyte Marines, except for that game.
But I mean, if you're Team Liquid watching that, you're getting flashbacks to Gigabyte Marines, and that's the kind of crazy team that could take down a major region.
Absolutely the case. Well, for more on PVB's win, let's check in with Riv and Meliodas.
Welcome back to MSI 2019 here in Ho Chi Minh City. I'm Brington III, joined by Meliodas of Phong Vu Buffalo as they are moving on to the next stage with their victory to verse Team Liquid. I have Zung for translation here. Meliodas, it's been such a long day. How was the team able to prepare themselves for such a tense tiebreaker at the end of the day?
Thì đầu tiên chúc mừng team mình vì đã chiến thắng trong cặp đấu tie-break này ha. Thì không biết team mình đã coi như là làm gì để vượt qua một ngày thi đấu rất là mệt mỏi này.
Team em thua trận với Paula chơi nên là về nhà team em nó có nói sao ta, em không biết nói gì.
So after the loss against Fibonacci, we were a bit shocked after the game, and then we went back to our gaming house, and we have some preparation for this very intense games. Yep.
And from day one, communication was noted as a bit of a problem. Do you feel the team has solved this difficulty to move on to the next stage?
Thì ngày hôm qua là có rất là nhiều bạn của team Phong Vũ đã nói là kiểu cả team mình giao tiếp không được tốt ha. Thì không biết là hôm nay là mình đã làm gì để coi như là cải thiện cái giao tiếp giữa cả team với nhau.
Team em đánh hơi bị hừng, là không có đúng như chiến thuật của huấn luyện viên, nên là hơi có rắc rối trong phần banh bích, nên là vô game hơi khó triển khai nên dẫn đến thua.
So the main problem yesterday was communication, although we had the strategy organized by the coach, but we were a bit too excited, and then we have our own opinion, so that caused some trouble. But for today, we regroup ourselves, become more organized, and that makes our communication much better today.
And final question for you. Obviously, you go up against Team Liquid tomorrow. Being able to play in your home region, what does it mean to be able to show the fans what Meliodas can do?
Thì mình sẽ tiến vào vòng loại trực tiếp ha. Thì đây cũng là lần đầu tiên mà mình kiểu đối đầu với những đội tuyển rất mạnh như Team Liquid, thì bạn sẽ coi như là chứng tỏ cho tất cả đội tuyển khác như thế nào trong những trận đấu sắp tới.
Team em vẫn chưa đạt đúng với phong độ của team em, nên là đánh với team Liquid sắp tới là team em sẽ cố gắng nhiều hơn nữa để lọt vào vòng bán.
So for myself as well as the whole Phong Vu team, we haven't performed our best in this group stage of playing. So we will need to try even better to beat Team Liquid or any other opponent and get our seat in the group stage in Hanoi.
Well, the hard work has paid off to here. Meliodas, congratulations. Zung, thank you again for translating. That's going to do it. Us here for MSI 2019. We'll see you tomorrow.
You'll continue to see us today. Thank you, Riv. And, of course, always good to hear from Meliodas. And also, you won't technically see us tomorrow. So just a few small things. We'll keep you guys updated on the schedule. But after today's results, the important thing is that Fongfu Buffalo will be advancing from Group A to take on Team Liquid in the knockout stage. Meanwhile, over in Group B, we've got Vegas securing an early lead, but there's a lot left to be decided. We've got 8 games remaining, so have to see what the other team is going to be, who goes through in the end.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. It was definitely a close fight, though, between PVB and Fenerbahce in this game, and throughout their group stage as a whole. Vega, as you said, the early frontrunners have been looking very, very good. For INTZ, certainly a disappointing start for them. High hopes for the Brazilian squad coming into this, despite the fact that it wasn't the favorites from their region. They did have an upset coming into this tournament, but there's a lot of ground for them yet to make up.
Absolutely, they will have time to do so. Once again, 8 games, but when are we going to play them? That's the question. The play-in stage is going to return on the 5th of May as the team in Group B fight to secure first place and a shot at the LMS champions, Flash Wolves. And right now, when we talk about expectation, where's your head at? I feel like Vega's the safe bet right now. Is there any dark horses you see coming up, Zale?
Yeah, I mean, I think you do have to kind of give some credit to INTZ. I do think that expectations were to see them perform a little bit better. I think that Detonation Focus Me showed some very interesting drafts. We have seen kind of some different stuff from them, so perhaps to look to them to see them bounce back. But I think Vega has been a really exciting team. They play a very unique style, and they're looking good so far.
I like the weird stuff, I'll be honest.
Yeah,
Show us more weird picks, Group B. That's all that we can ask for. Well, Game 1 starts at 10 p.m. Pacific time. That is 7 a.m. Central European Summer Time. And if there are eventual tiebreaker games, they will be played at the end of that day. So check in. We'll be back in 2 days. That's the 5th. So for myself, Azael, the entire broadcast crew, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on Sunday for more of MSI 2019. Good night.
Or good morning.
Fair.
Hello and welcome back to the play-in stage for MSI 2019. Now they, however, go into Zeros looking for his own 1v2, gets the first play, the ult not enough for the execute. Galio riding in to try and save his teammate, but it might be a double kill. There's the last breath. Gonna find both off the Fate's call. We're gonna play coverage, but he's still finding a snipe. The Shuriken needs a little bit more. Rogue trying to block it up with the flash Q, seals it once again.
Tay with the Cataclysm trying to do what he can with the ensemble also. The slide in G4 sweeps away Mills. Heroes entrance on the back line as Tay is caught out as well. That's 2000 HP is smited away, but the slide comes out. Can INTZ survive? They get the Elder, but they don't get anything else. Lloyd caught out just a little bit. The flash is coming in. Lloyd down towards this bottom side, forced away by DFM. The Mega Inferno Bomb connects and Evie gets the kill. DFM just focusing down the Nexus.
Curious how they're going to set up their lane assignments and if they're going to move.
Oh,
on
Requiem! This could be enough. Mills just gets taken out. That was great combination from the Pineapple Man. Couple coming in for Tay as well, but is it too little too late? INTZ force back. Envy low. Death from below will take him out. Paying off for the enemy team. Death from below as well from Santas. The hook back once again. Santas! Void Rush comes in from Ananas looking already. 2 members of Death Energy Focus Me are down. Unicorn chased out by Boss. It's a wipe. They are clean. Aced Evie. There's nowhere for him to go. He's stampeded over.
Night snipe from Ruin gets himself the kill, and now the Void Rush from Volcan just gives Ruin yet another kill. Mimic gonna try and turn it back around, but he's the only damage dealer left. But a double kill there with the dunk out of the knockoff. Ryoma, he's burning down. He gets sniped by Ruin, who is just putting the feather in his cap. Fenerbahce in their top lane take him out, eliminate Bombers from the knockout. Fenerbahce again first to the play. They'll even TP down. Zerus gonna come in, but he might be too late. Paladin is gonna fall. That's gonna be a double kill.
The sidestep not going to connect. Wall is going to get hit. Curie immediately looking for the delete there. 1 kill getting taken down. He's going to get 2. Big Koro. Big Koro still alive. Health bar incredibly low. Zeros on the back line is going to be massive. The body slam forward. PVB take down Fenerbahce and will move on to the bracket stage.